Who's your toughest critic? I ask that question a lot, especially when I'm working. My career is this wonderful mishmash of things. I'm an author, something I've pursued since I was 12 years old. I'm also an actor. I was once in one of the worst productions of The Importance of Being Earnest ever, and I was earnest. But I also love to teach. I love teaching. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with a variety of people in a variety of settings. Everything from 6-year-old kids to 60-year-old executives. And inevitably, I end up asking that question: who's your toughest critic? It ends up being relevant whether it's a writing class or a corporate retreat. Now, if I ask the youngest kids, those 6, 7-year-olds, I get a variety of answers. Mom, dad, the teacher, maybe a sibling. But as we get older, that answer changes. A couple of years ago, I was teaching a job skills workshop at Second City for a group of grade 7s and 8s. We got to know each other a little bit, got warmed up, and then it hit the point where the question made sense. Who's your toughest critic? Again, I got a variety of answers. Mom, dad, the teacher. But then from the corner of the room, one voice. Myself. And I turned to discover a young woman, maybe 12, 13 years old, down, huddled, arms around her knees, looking up. Myself. By grade 9, that voice is everywhere. Now, hey, that voice can be a positive force in our lives. It can help us improve ourselves. It helps me edit when I write. It's part of our moral core. But often, too often, it can get ramped up just a little too high, or worse, get stuck in the on position, and that's when it can do damage. Because if it's saying things like, nobody likes you, or that was terrible, or you'll never be as good as Beyonce, it's probably true. But if that critic is speaking in those vague exaggerations or some kind of comparison to somebody else, that's not analysis, that's abuse. Because if you wouldn't say it to your best friend, or if you were to say it out loud to a colleague at work and it would get you fired, then why? Why do we inflict that kind of judgment on ourselves? Because that's the voice that can drive us apart. It can make us so anxious that we're terrified to leave our homes. I struggled with this for years, not realizing that while I was afraid the world might judge me, the harshest critic was already inside the house. It can lead to depression. It can lead to substance abuse, because maybe, just maybe, we can get that voice to shut up for just a little while. Or maybe you build more metaphorical walls. Anybody else here hide behind a sense of humor? Or maybe a fanatical dedication to your career? Or an unwillingness to be emotionally vulnerable? It can separate us in so many ways. But here's the thing. I come here today, maybe not to bury that inner critic, but perhaps to praise it. Let's try this game again. When I asked that question at the beginning of my speech, who's your toughest critic? Put up your hand if your answer was some version of myself. Look at that. That's a lot of hands. A whole bunch of people all sharing the same flaw. We are united by so many positive things. Our love of friends and family, our pursuit of a career that we might cherish, art and literature, Beyonce. But we are also, I know, but we are also connected by our flaws, including that one flaw that maybe just obsesses a little too much about all those other imperfections. And if we can come to accept that, not only in others, but also in ourselves, well, then maybe we can start taking down some of those barriers and step out from behind our shelters to discover a world filled with people just like us, all with their hand in the air, saying, hey, me too. Let's work on it together. Thank you.